It is just after 5 p.m. It's just after 5 p.m. and as most of you know, we didn't get a morning news out this morning. That is because we didn't have internet. We also couldn't get the RV started. And if you know anything about RVs, our jacks were down and the slide was out. So it was kind of a rough morning. But anyway, luckily there's been no big quakes and there's not really a whole lot to discuss in terms of solar activity. Somewhat surprising given the sunspots, or maybe not if you've been paying attention. Let's go right into it here. Well, this is what our, let me go ahead and pull the screen share up here, as I've forgotten to do that in the past. Okay, so this is what our star looks like right now. This is 193 angstroms from the Solar Dynamics Observatory, the SDO AIA. The bright parts are the sunspots in the active regions and the umbral fields looping between them. The larger dark patches are coronal holes, and here's the next one coming in right there. It's kind of blocked by some of the umbral fields in front of it, but you can definitely still see the dark patch. The thinner dark lines are all plasma filaments. They're really easy to see when they stick off the side of the sun. There's another one departing over here. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the sunspots. And we're going to start here, then here, come down to these big ones, and then take a quick look at what's just cresting over the southeastern limb now. So we're going to start here. Sunspots are small and separated thus far. However, if we do get any kind of development there, it looks like they could be in for a mix. Shifting towards the limb there, we'll put these center here. Again, we see not a whole lot of magnetic mixing, but we do have beta spots, which means they have both positive blue and negative red. And when you're classifying sunspots, also don't forget that you have to look for the actual dark black umbras of the sunspots, which you see here. You can't actually look at these surface plagues and other surface magnetics around and look for mixing. Let's move down south to the big guys. I'm still going to call this delta down here, and we definitely have delta development up here. This is a pretty big positive spot, and what you see here, these are called light bridges. If you haven't looked much into those, that's a pretty interesting thing to look at. Then going to the limb, we don't quite have great visibility on this yet. Whenever these massive sunspots, and I'll go ahead and see if I can't enhance that there. When you have a big sunspot like that and it's just on the limb, it always looks like it's cut in half, positive and negative. When it turns in a bit more, for example, this one down here looked like it was half positive, half negative, but now that it's turned in, we can see that the rest was just a surface plague. But right now, it looks like we could have some delta development in the front, and we'll, of course, keep watching the back. These are some of the best sunspots we've had in weeks, if not months or more, and yet, one M flare, middle of the day yesterday, and then gone quiet. If you've been here watching for a while, you know that we are somewhat concerned that the sun is about to enter a grand minimum, that we may already be in what's known as the extended grand minimum phase. And this began, coincidentally enough, at the exact same time that we had our pause in global warming. The lack of solar flares is partially responsible for the collapse of the upper atmosphere. And as the sun appears to be weakening, not just in sunspots, but in solar irradiance, in X-ray flaring, and large coronal mass ejections, and directly related to that, geomagnetic activity, we are also noticing this fall off in temperatures, but also a shift in the climate of not just Earth, but all the planets. And you can find out more about this by clicking my name anywhere on this page, going to our channel page, and taking a look at the climate change playlist. A lot of that stuff involves stuff that's not happening here on Earth. But you know, just a few years ago, in 2011, when we saw a spot like this, we would already be getting M-class solar flares, X-class solar flares, even from groups like this that aren't really magnetically mixing, they were able to pop off an M flare every once in a while. And actually, that one M flare we had came from up here, from groups that are not really magnetically mixed. So what we have here is proof, yet again, that the sun is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Just a quick little bit of stats here. According to NOAA, we expect to see about 8 x10 solar flares or higher, x10, and we haven't seen even one of them yet this cycle. We're supposed to see 175 X-class solar flares, and we've seen about 35 or so, if my memory is correct. The number's probably not exactly accurate, but it's pretty darn close. This is one of the weakest solar cycles we ever have evidence of, and at least since the Maunder minimum. And there really is nobody alive who has ever seen a solar cycle, one of the 11-year cycles, that is this weak. So, why on earth is this happening with these big sunspots on the disk? Well, I'll quickly remind everyone, and for those who haven't heard it yet, I'll clue you into this little thing. The Maunder minimum, the last grand minimum. Let me go ahead and just pull that up here. And we'll use this one. This is from NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center. This is the Maunder minimum right here, and this is what we could be getting ready to go into. Chowdhury 2013 found about a 407-year cycle of the grand cycle, and so 407 years puts us right about here and in this extended minimum period on our way down. Now, this is called the Maunder minimum, even though it's a solar grand minimum. By the way, solar grand maximum was up here during global warming. They called this the Maunder minimum because of the Maunder science team, husband and wife. They documented, studied, and really were all about the sun for most of their lives, and their documentation and their study of this grand minimum period is what got it named for them. Now, something interesting. They believed that the Earth kills sunspots. They actually wrote those exact words. I'm not exaggerating that at all. They said that the Earth kills sunspots, and they noticed this when they would count the number of sunspots that crested onto the disk from this side, and then they would count the number that departed over on the other side. And if it was cresting, was far higher than the number that was departing, and so there was something about these sunspots. They got shy. They began to decay. They would go quiet. Now, the reason that even those of you who are really into heliophysics and have done a lot of study haven't really heard of that before is because as soon as the Maunder minimum ended, it stopped being true. I'm going to say that again. What they noticed here was that the Earth was killing sunspots, or causing them to decrease. We had the lack of large sunspots. They couldn't really monitor irradiance or flaring back then. But that's a pretty good corollary for irradiance and flaring, or so we're finding. Those who have been watching this channel for a while, and I would love to go ahead and ask those who have been watching a while to go ahead and maybe express how long you've been watching us talk about these sunspots just getting absolutely mortified once they catch Earth in their periphery and going absolutely silent. Because it's been going on since about November of 2012. It used to be as easy as looking at the magnetics like this, calling out a delta spot, and in the morning news or so I would say that one's going to give us our X flare today. It wasn't even a question of whether or not we were going to have one. But anyway, that's pretty much the status of where we are right now. Granted, if we get some more delta development there, I find it hard to believe we wouldn't get more M flares, but still, I mean, even if we got 10 M flares in the next day, that's still pitiful for solar maximum, and it's still indicative of us being in this extended minimum period. Anyway, that's just our quick little evening update. Sorry I didn't get to you this morning. We had a lot of issues with the RV, no internet, plus we broke down. which was a struggle. Website members, we're going to post a little bit something extra on there tonight as well. So much appreciated on your understanding this morning, and eyes open. No fear. Be safe, everyone.